Hey guys, Mike here. So, boy, what a crazy day in the market with AWS, for those who didn't know, going down, wreaking havoc all over the globe on thousands of websites, a lot of them trading platforms, a lot of them flow platforms. So, even if you had data coming in, you didn't even know if it was accurate or not because some of them wasn't updating properly and all kinds of crazy stuff. So, let me know how you fared today. There's a great saying for a reason. It says sometimes the best thing to do is nothing. That was this guy. I was like, nope, don't trust the data coming in. Not sure if it's working properly. Don't want to get stuck in a trade if a site does go down, because I don't know what sites are exposed to AWS. We found out it is a boatload. How that stock was green, I do not know, but we will cover it. I think I have a good suspicion of why, because you remember when CrowdStrike and Microsoft had this problem, they got hit for that, but they were at two different parts of the chart when that happened. And so we'll get into all that fun stuff. I mean, Apple going crazy today. That was a whole nother one, and especially the reason why it went up and set a new all-time high. I mean, I think we talked about that one last night. And we talked about a lot of stocks, not being shocked that this is a big green day. The fact that a lot of them were just setting up bull flagging, setting in these falling wedges, and so no surprise. They were setting in these breakout patterns. It is funny that you have a big day like today and then, a whole bunch of retail can't even participate in it or something, but as far as trading that is. But yeah, interesting day. I will start with these two memes, which I found to be hilarious. It's Nancy Pelosi calling her husband saying, "Shut it all down, Paul." Yes, the entire AWS server system. I just overheard Barron say they are about to pump NASDAQ. We need to make sure Robin Hooders can't access their accounts. And the next meme is OpenAI obviously being drained for everything it's worth with these deals. And the farmer coming in saying, "Good morning, sunshine," with barrels of AMD, NVIDIA, Avgo, CoreWeave, Walmart, just trying to get another deal. And it's like, how much is left on the bone for OpenAI here? How many more deals can they put out there to try to pump these stocks up? So I thought that was hilarious. But getting into the market here, you can see the VIX is still moving down. Obviously, it broke out of this box. And, a good move down to that 16 area is going to be a good sign for the market. It shouldn't be too much of a surprise, because obviously you get a big bump up, usually we get to sell down. But when you also look at seasonality, where are we at? Is this where the market's finally going to start to settle down and start to turn up right here? That is the question. Kind of looks that way. Again, we got earnings really starting tomorrow. But when you look at the S&P, you can see what we talk about, that big weekly candle right there. And again, most of that comes from Friday. But we talked about we're in this triangle pattern, just wedging tighter. Can break either way, and it broke to the upside, okay? And when you put on the weekly chart, we are obviously clearly still in a weekly trend up. So no surprise, and only about 0.47% at the close away from a new all-time high on the S&P right there. And when we look at what could happen tomorrow, you'll see if we're going to end up coming down as a gap below, maybe an overnight in the futures market or whatever, or maybe in pre-market for the S&P, and maybe fill that gap, take some of that liquidity out right there. It needs to hold that as support, continue this move up. I'm also going to put this trend line on here as well. Got 3 touches on that. Let's see if we come down and get a 4th as the market decides what it wants to do. And when we flip to the Qs, you can see it was within a hair of a new all-time high right there, but it hit that trend line, which held as resistance. Again, that one goes back a little over a year as far as being resistance. Remember, we broke it right above it, tried to hold it, failed. But again, this one goes all the way back to July of 2024. It's about a year and 4 months old right here. Once we break above that, obviously, we're going to be cooking and stuff. But no surprise, because there was certain stocks, especially in the Mag 8, that led the way today. And Apple, of course, being one of them. And what was funny is what it actually broke up on. So Apple nears 4 trillion market cap. It took back its second ranking as far as market caps, because supposedly it's going to have good iPhone 17 demand right here. And you got to remember, Apple already has an OpenAI partnership. They expand on that a year later in June 10th, 2025. Not really that big a deal, I don't think, to be honest with you. But one thing they don't do that the other Mag 7s do, they don't spend a lot on CapEx when it comes to the percentage of their revenue. You can clearly see Meta's 35%, Microsoft 28%, Alphabet 21%, Amazon 21%, Tesla 11%, and there's NVIDIA. Of course, NVIDIA is selling the chips, right? And then there's Apple at 3%, because what do? They follow a simple business plan. They buy a boatload of stock, as you can see, like nobody else. And you can see Google, what they do. They're like, hey, man, we better get in this game too. And it's no doubt that, or no, surprise why Google's performing so well, because they've gotten on board with this as well. NVIDIA got on board with it. And again, the rest of those, aren't even Mag 7 stocks right there. And they have stock buybacks, but, Microsoft promises to spend it. They don't even spend nowhere near as much as Apple on the buyback programs. And I guess as the old saying goes, if it's not broken, don't fix it, because they depend on one thing. They understand, at least in America, I can't speak for other countries, that we are creatures of habit, and we like to stick to what we know. And if people who end up iPhones, no matter how much they gripe about Safari or this, that, and the other, they always go and buy the updated phones, and they just get a better camera, pretty much. That's what everybody tells me. That's what my wife tells me. And I'm an Android guy because that's what I'm comfortable with, so I stick with that. And that's just the way it is. And they make a boatload on their services. And it's convenient in so many ways, how they connect to the iPad, connect to the phone, and connect to your watch, connect to all this. So it's working, right? It's working. So we'll see how long it continues. But again, they're number 2 as far as market cap now. AMD, you can see it did break and set a new all-time high, but it couldn't hold right here. It's still at this level. As you can see, we got it marked out right there. So you're just looking to see if this can hold, or we're going to end up coming back down, maybe hitting this trend line again right here before going higher. Again, semiconductors were looking pretty good today. If earnings come through like Lam and all the rest of them, you would think these are going to continue higher. If it does come down, just watch for like 227 to 228 to actually hold. Maybe you get something like that on this if that is the case. And the next level up, if we just zoom in on the next fib, it's going to be 260.86 right there, okay? Next one, Tesla. You can see this one. Obviously, it broke out of this little area. It was very strange how it was starting to move, and then all of a sudden the call premium was just absolutely imploded on quant data. That's why I wasn't sure if it was real or we were having problems with AWS or whatever. But with this one, next level up is 453 to 457.88. Really need to get above that to actually make this run, as you can see with that 4-hour imbalance over there. But you can see, man, they're betting big on these calls, man. At 520 usually is the biggest call strike. Millions of dollars in sweeps coming through. And the expiration that seems to be one of the most popular is December 19th right there. So people betting big on this one. And we could see a couple different things where this breaks through that level, turns into support, and then starts heading up to 470 right there. Or we end up in this channel pattern right here, where again, we're assuming earnings comes in where the market actually likes it, and they start talking about optimism and all this stuff, and here we go, right? Start heading up. So, that's what everybody's looking at right now. Amazon breaking out of this falling wedge pattern we talked about last night. Shockingly, to be green on a day like today when your company is under immense pressure to try to get all these websites back up, it's pretty amazing. But it turned green, and I think when it happened to CrowdStrike and Microsoft, if I remember correctly, they were sitting at like really frothy levels right there. So they got knocked down. At least CrowdStrike did. But Amazon had literally just got done falling below its 200 moving average. So this one's been under pressure for over a month and a half now. So if it's going to happen, I guess that's really the best time to happen for it. When we pull up the visible range volume profile, you can see this gap is starting to enter. So it definitely can continue to push up. And when it gets to that next trend line, that's when we're hitting resistance around that 219, 221 area right there. And that's where the 50 moving average is as well. So that could definitely be a battle. For sure, there's no doubt about that. Looking at CoreWeave, this one's under pressure, even though it was a nice green day today. This one was red, come down to the bottom of this box area right here. And, needs a bounce, definitely in a bounce area, as you'll see once we add the fibs and everything. There are those all-time high anchor VWAP, all-time low anchor VWAP, IPO anchor VWAP as well. Which should try to hold a support right here, unless there's some news we just don't know about. But it's at the 0.79 fib currently. So again, definitely in a bounce area. You got this trend line right here coming up. Looking for a third touch. If we continue coming into weakness, need 119, 121 area to hold right here. And again, when you see the visible range volume profile on this one, it's in a gap. That's why you see it falling right now. So it could continue to come down, no doubt about it, around that 121, 122 area again. Should hold a support, or needs to hold a support, I guess is a better way to put this one. Again, this is the data center stock everybody loves so much. BMNR, we talked about, I believe, in Saturday's video, got back above and closed above these anchor VWAPs as Ethereum has started to recover. Bitcoin has started to recover, but again, Ethereum is falling back under 4,000. I'm recording this. So, we got to see, because if it starts to, again, if crypto shows weakness, this is going to be much weaker. Okay, that's just the way it is. Right now, it's just this crypto bounce back. That's what this stock is feeling right now. And again, we're below that trend line. We're sitting, just hanging on to those freaking anchor VWAPs. But if it can get above it, it can absolutely fly up to 60. There's no doubt. If Ethereum then come up there, and you'll see that trend line start at resistance. But resistance is much less above this area we're at right now. So really around 54.50, I think, is what it really needs to close above. United Healthcare, quick update on this one. Remember, we filled that gap. We're in a volume gap on the visible range volume profile, as you can see right there. So if we can break that, definitely going to be starting to heading up to the 200 moving average. But you do have earnings coming up, and so that's a big deal. Right now, you're just kind of in this area right here, squeezing. We're above that anchor VWAP. Once again, we fell slightly below it. And again, around 390, 331 is where the 200 moving average is. Now it was at 400. Again, it's a moving average. So if you can get above that, and it's only like 7%, but a lot of this will depend on earnings. So you better start here. Hope they, start talking about these extensions and help, the discounts for the healthcare premiums and all that fun stuff. That's really going to be key for this one. And if it does have a good earnings, then you start talking about the 200 week, which is around like 489. Again, you have to break the 200 first. Then the 200 week is even farther ahead. But a lot of this is just going to depend on earnings, guys. And lastly here is Hood, one of the leaders in the market as far as the performance. And again, it was flagging. One of the mini stocks broke out above it today. So we're going to get to see if this starts heading back to all-time highs coming up here. They don't report till, I believe it's the first week in November, if I'm not mistaken. And again, when you look at this move up, it hadn't been parabolic. It's just literally, come up, they'll consolidate for a few days, consolidate for a few days, come up, consolidate for a few weeks. And so again, this is an SP 500. It's been performing well. No surprise that it broke out today. Now we get to see if we get the continuation, mitigating like a bunch of this liquidity right here. So I was hoping for a steeper discount, maybe hit the 50, but it did not. So we'll keep an eye on that one to see if it continues to move higher. As far as earnings tomorrow, we're going to have Coca-Cola, GE Aerospace, Lockheed Martin, RTX, 3M, Pulte Group, GM in the morning. And then in the afternoon, you'll get Netflix, Intuitive Surgical, Texas Instruments, Capital One, and I believe Mattel, the toy maker right there. And then no data to worry about tomorrow at all, guys. So buckle up for another fun one. Hopefully Amazon Web Services issues are solved and everybody can participate. Please hit that like, subscribe button on your way out. Think about sharing the video. Also, if you want to sign up the membership, Less Than McDonald's combo, it's everything you get with it. Just hit the first link at the bottom of the description, and I will see you guys tomorrow.